Hi Magnolia kids, it's teacher Rachel, and today I'm going to be talking to you about silkworms because some of your silkworms might be ready to spin their cocoons soon, or eventually will be ready to spin their cocoons. And so I wanted to let you know how to know that they're ready and then what to do. Some of my silkworms have gotten pretty big. Here is one of them. I'm going to measure this one to see how long they are, but if you want to compare to the size of my pinky, it's about the length of my pinky. So a lot of mine are about this length, and if I measure them with my measuring tape, I can see that they're about 2 inches or more.
1, 2. It's about 2 inches long.
Sometimes when they're stretched out, they can be 2.5 inches. If you look at them closely, sometimes they stretch when they're moving, and sometimes when you pick them up, they get a little bit smaller. They sort of squeeze up. So it's hard to get the exact right measurement, but when they're about 2 inches, then it's time to think about giving them a place to spin their cocoons. And I don't know exactly when they're going to spin. Some of my silkworms are not that big. Some of my silkworms are still about 1 inch. This is one of my smaller silkworms.
This one is about 1.5 inches, or not my full pinky, just up to my knuckle, my first knuckle. This one is not ready to spin yet. It is not big enough. It's still going to eat.
Yours might be smaller, they might be bigger, and they'll keep on growing. When yours are about 2 inches long, you're going to make a new home for them. What is really important for this home is that they have lots of corners in their home, because when they spin their cocoons, they like to go into their corners and they set up some silks that they start to spin into a cocoon, but they need those corners to make a structure for their silk. They just need a small space with walls on multiple sides so that they can attach their silk to lots of different walls so that it can hold the cocoon up. So if it's just a flat wall, they can't really make a structure. But if they have a corner, they have a little place to go inside of and start to spin. Or I'm going to show you how I make one. And you can make it a little bit differently. You might have different materials, and that's okay. It's just important that there are corners. I'm going to start out with a big box. This is sort of an old box, and I'm going to cut off the flaps at the top. And I might use those later. And you might help to cut these off. You might also ask a grown-up for help. Alright, now my box looks like this. But this is sort of an old box that my cat ripped a little bit because she loves to scratch cardboard. So with your box, you can take a look and notice if there are any places that need some tape to make sure that the box is strong. So I'm going to use some tape. I'm going to tape up the box to make sure that it is nice and sturdy, and make sure that there are no little holes that the silkworms might crawl out of. And usually I don't have a top for mine. Silkworms always crawl up, but they don't usually crawl back down. So sometimes in the mornings I'll find my silkworms standing on the top of the walls, but they're always climbing up to find mulberry leaves, not down. So I'm not scared that they're gonna crawl out the side Also, they don't go very far, so I just leave it open. But if it makes you more comfortable to put something on top, you can do that too. So now I have my box, and I'm going to make some corners. So I'm gonna take some of the cardboard scraps that I have from cutting off the flaps on the cardboard, and I'm going to cut off some pieces. Some sort of rectangles. Rectangles are shapes that have 4 sides. Let's count the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a rectangle. And I cut a slit in one, zoop, and I cut a slit in the other, zoop, and then I put them like this. The 2 open parts are going to touch and push together to make corners. And look, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. And you can even just glue them into your box, or you can cut a slit on your box and cut a small slit on one of the edges. I'm cutting it like this, and then slide it onto your box. And okay. Sometimes I have to adjust it to make it sit flat. It's sort of an experiment, right? You have to change things until it works. Sometimes it doesn't quite work and you have to try again and again. Okay, and so I'm gonna keep on cutting out long rectangles and making corners. And you know what? There are lots of different ways to make corners. You can think of other ways to make corners. If you have an idea, you don't have to do it the same way that I do it. Maybe you glue things together. Maybe you use different tools. Maybe they don't just need corners. They could be inside a cylinder, inside of a toilet paper roll, inside of a paper towel roll. So you can use your imagination and get creative. There are lots of ways to do this. This is just one way.
So here's the slit, and here's the slit in this one, and I'm going to put it on. And whoop, whoop. It's a little bit standing up, so I might try and tuck it under this flap. We're gonna have to get creative with this. It's like a puzzle. Let's count the corners. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There are 22 corners in this box. I could make even more. Here's what it looks like to have some silkworms in the box. I'll know that they're going to spin their cocoons when they stop eating. When I see that they've stopped eating, then it's almost time for them to spin their cocoons. So I made a box with a lot of corners, and for tomorrow's video, I'll decorate it. I hope that this gave you some ideas about how to make your box, and if you have any questions, please send me them. See you in tomorrow's video.